Bitchin', man. Well, I appreciate the time, Shane.
Yeah, man. So sorry. I'm a few minutes late. I got a new computer like a week ago, and it's like thought I had it on lockdown, but I don't.
Well, I appreciate the time, man. Want to get into the tour and the anniversary and
Yeah.
look forward and look back a little bit. But let me first start by saying I get it, but I was a little bit bummed because I thought you were going to come with this year, the 20th anniversary of When Broken is Easily Fixed. But
Right.
instead, we're doing the 10th anniversary of This Is How the Wind Shifts, and certainly an important album for Paul Mark, his first with the band. But take me back to making that one. Was he able to contribute a lot in riffs, or was it kind of already done by the time he came in? Or
It's a great question, but just to touch on When Broken Easily Fixed, yes, 20 years. It is a hell of a milestone, man. And I think had we not done
the 15?
extensive 15-year anniversary touring, like we did a tour and then we did another tour that we weren't even planning on doing because it did so well. So I think if that hadn't happened only 5 years ago, which feels like God, that feels like 50 years ago, but I think we probably would be celebrating that record again.
Did you
But
even think about that? I mean, that far in advance?
no, no, we didn't. I think it's just because it's still fresh in our minds, and I think our fans' minds too. And for me, this How the Wind Shifts is 100% my favorite album
Oh, interesting.
that we've done. I think it's just incredible what we were able to put together. It's kind of one of those things where like you look back and you're like, how did we do some of this stuff? Like, where were our heads at? How did we, come up with these ideas? And so it's really something we wanted to celebrate and kind of reflect back on. And of course, we hear it from our fans all the time. What a favorite of theirs it is too. So we had a little time at the end of the year here, and we put together a relatively short 18 show tour in the US and Canada. But no, it's gonna be great. And to answer your question about like putting this thing together, I mean, it was incredible. Um, you know, Back 10 years ago, Paul Mark came in the band, fresh blood, and dude, he's all over this thing. I mean,
Good,
we
good.
probably had we didn't have too much written when he came in. We wanted to originally, we were auditioning new guitar players at that time, and we weren't sure who we were going to get, but Paul Mark happened to live in the same town as us.
Ah,
So he was the first one to audition, and once he came in, we were like, we don't need to talk to anybody else. No, this is just fine like that. We definitely do not need to do that. So, do you don't hear that dinging? Do you?
no.
Okay, I'm getting dinging because I'm getting annoying iMessages
Ah,
in my ears. It's like very distracting. See, new computer problems.
exactly, exactly.
I'm just gonna turn this off. I assume you're editing this, right?
Of course, of course.
So there we go. Okay, boom. That should work. Sign out. Awesome. Cool. Now I won't be distracted. But yeah, I mean, a great little example of Paul Mark coming to the band was, I think it was maybe the second time he jammed with us, and he was like, "Yeah, so I'm not like trying to overstep or anything, but I wrote a song last night,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and it was just instrumental, but it was the instrumental of Stand Amid the Roar, which became track one."
Yeah.
And I remember him playing it for me, just his demo on his computer and hearing that like dee 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 dee, and I was like, that is genius. We are totally using this. And then from there, I mean, it's been pretty magical, creatively with him over the last 10 years. So it's been really, really great. All the records we've made since, but that was special because it was the first time we collaborated.
It's interesting looking back on that album. Album titles always come from song titles or a lyric in a song. I've never seen two like almost interlude songs on separate parts of the album come together for an album title. Was that by design or was that kind of an afterthought or
It's a great question. So the whole concept of the album is that we've got songs related to other songs. Side A and side B, they all correlate. So this is how, and on side B, it correlates to this is how the wind shifts. or the Wind Shift, sorry. And then we have Arrivals on side A, Departures on side B. We have On Brave Mountains We Conquer on side A, and In Silent Seas We Drown on side B. And they're all related. They're all the stories. They're all, the question of what if, in like a different space-time continuum, what would have been or what could have been, right? And these are things we always think about in our mind, when like if one little thing didn't happen, like one little tiny thing, like maybe your whole life would be different, like the movie. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Sliding Doors. It's
Right.
a very
Right.
similar idea to that. So what I wanted to do to really hammer this home is I wanted to do two songs that could be played over top of each other at the same time.
Ah.
And one I called This Is How, and the other I called The Wind Shifts. So this is how the wind shifts when you put them together. And I remember telling my band about this. At the time, the working titles were Sun and Moon. That was the working title. So very, basic.
Uh-huh.
And one was kind of, going to be more of a major kind of happy song. And then the other was going to be darker. But the idea was if I put one in, C major, for example, I'm not sure what actual key I used, but C major, and then the other one in A minor. For music nerds out there, that's the relative minor of C, right? So you can kind of get away with having one song in a major key, one song in a minor key. And if you do it right, they can overlap. So they can be played together. So that's something that my band thought it was absolutely crazy, but managed to pull it off. And it's one of the coolest things, I think, when our fans discovered, like, oh my God, This Is How you can take the wind shifts and you can put them together, and so that's something we're going to be doing live too. We're going to be playing those songs separately and then together after. So it's pretty exciting.
Interesting. Made me think of, and I'm sure you remember as a kid, like Choose Your Own Adventure.
Yeah, of
You remember like this path, you go down this hallway or you turn
course.
or whatever, kind of that same kind of vibe. And interesting that you're gonna perform it that way as well, separately and then together.
Yeah, exactly. No, I remember doing book reports when I was a kid, and I would try to die as early as to choose your own adventure as I could, so I didn't have to read the rest of the book. Just make the worst decisions.
Yeah.
But no, man, I think yeah, I think it's going to be a really cool show for people. And I know we've been a band a long time. We've been touring for 20 years. People have seen us a lot, especially Southern California, which is like our second home. But, I think this is going to be really something unique and different that people haven't seen before because we're really taking it kind of over the top creatively. And I think it's going to be really, really, really cool to see that kind of what's the word? I don't know. Just it's going to be a real show,
Yeah. It's gonna be
Um,
a
and
performance.
and of course, yes, it's a performance, and there's going to be still like we're still playing the hits, we're still playing the bangers. We're still expecting people to mosh and go crazy and all that too. But it's going to be really cool when we do some of these things, like this Saddle Wind Shifts, Arrivals, Departures, and some of the other songs too that kind of go into each other.
Well, looking forward to it. We got you in SoCal, like we mentioned, December 9th, downtown LA at the Regent. And then the next night in OC on the 10th at the House of Blues at
Yeah.
Anaheim with Stray from the Path and Avoid and old friends.
Yeah, I mean, we've known Straight from the Path for a long time, and as friends, but also big fans of their work, but never actually got together to do a tour until now.
Ah,
We're talking about doing a whole bunch, and then the world shut down. So this is a cool makeup for that, and I think Avoid is just one of the most energetic, exciting young bands out there right now. Just the way that they have this kind of like I don't know, they're like heavy, but they're fast, but they're punk, but they're like kind of funny. Like they don't take themselves too seriously. They're a lot of fun. And one of my favorite newer bands. So I think it's just a great package. We're playing a pretty long show, so we didn't think we needed to put like four openers or anything. So it's good. People come in. I think they'll really enjoy all the other bands, and we've got a really great set planned.
well, I can't wait for the shows. And, speaking of shows with the news just coming out and speaking of playing albums in their entirety, when we were Young Fest coming up
Oh yeah.
in October, and taking apart another album for that one, discovering the Waterfront for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because we're talking about something happening in 11 months, like people were like, I don't even think I could book flights and hotels yet. Some of them aren't even able to be booked. So, it's cool, but I think, it's going to be incredible to just see so many iconic albums performed on one day because sure, you can get a great lineup with bands, and they have for the last 2 years. We were part of the first one, and last year, or this year I should say, was like incredible lineup once again. But for them to really step it up and take it even a step further and have it be iconic albums, some of them I'm sure will be played in their entirety. It's like you don't get a chance to see that very often.
No.
Especially if you're a real fan of this genre and you're a real fan of not just the hit songs, the top 5 on Spotify, but the actual albums that we had, that we bought on CD at Best Buy and all that. Now it's like, okay, we get to hear those tracks.
Yes.
So that's going to be really special. And I know there's going to be a lot of nervous bands trying to relearn or learn for the first time some of these songs, some of which have probably never been played before. For us with Discovering the Waterfront, we have played that record before. We've toured with it. We've done it the whole thing. So we're pretty well versed. But it's always exciting to play that album because it just means so much to our fans. And it really was the album that, really put us on the map. So
I love that, in this day and age, everyone talks about streaming and singles and playlists, but I love that you guys in general, and then this festival, keeping albums alive and going back to those days when we did listen to a full album and still believing in that album concept, which I feel like is going away, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of what we do, it's not going away. We think about the next album always, and we think about our last album, Misery Made Me, being one of our best albums, if not our very best. So, I think that's what we shoot for every time. It's like, okay, what are we going to do for this album? How can we make a collection of, 10 to 14 songs that are bangers and are expressing ourselves and take different twists and turns. I think we're not just trying to like, okay, we're going to write one really good 3.5-minute song and then the rest can be whatever. That's never, ever going to be our thing. And I think most of the bands kind of that came from the same world as us. Let's call them the When We Were Young bands. I think we kind of all feel that way.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, you do hear about bands that are just kind of like very single driven now, and they may take some singles and then they put it together and they call it an album. Well, it's not really an album. So, but yeah. So for us, man, we're always album driven, always have been, always will be. And I love that when we were young is kind of solidifying that importance, and how much that really still means.
I wonder, and I guess this applies to you, but taking off your hat and just being a musician for one sec, I wonder if all these bands that are going to learn all these albums and take the time, if that's going to spawn them touring that way throughout the year or the rest, you know what I mean? If you're going to take the time to learn the album, does it make sense to go ahead and just do a full tour of that leading into the When We Were Young Fest?
Right. No, that's, I think for sure you're going to see that. A lot of them are milestone anniversaries too, or coming up. Like for us, it's interesting because it's our 19th anniversary of Discovering the Waterfront. So, are we going to just kind of remember the songs and do something for a 20-year anniversary of it? Maybe. I don't know. I'm speculating. I don't know. We haven't talked about it. So, but I think you will see that definitely. It's a good thing, I think it's great. And you'll also kind of probably see some bands just sort of, I don't know. I think when you learn all those old songs and you get kind of back into that frame of mind too, maybe that helps with writing the new stuff too.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll kind of like remember, hey, you know what? We were actually pretty good, and this stuff is pretty good. Maybe we should try to write some music like this again. So I don't know. Again, I'm just speculating, but it's exciting. It's a really exciting time for our genre.
And a big summer camp for you, right? Big high school reunion, essentially.
Oh yeah. Well, the funny thing is I actually live in Las Vegas now. It's like a hometown show for me, man. I
better.
I get to go to sleep in my own bed, after after it's all done. But it's great because, I think I'll probably have a big party at my house. I'll have a bunch of friends over that haven't visited me here in Vegas yet. And I'm really looking forward to the weekend. It's gonna be great.
You had touched on it, and I certainly was going to get into it. Last album, Misery Made Me, incredible. Bankrupt, It's Over. Ultraviolet, played that one to death. And I know it was just last year, but are the wheels starting to turn towards another album, or too tied into all the touring and everything?
Yeah, well, yes, the wheels are starting to turn very slowly at this point. I think we were so happy with when we were young, that too, with Misery Made Me, that I don't think we felt like we needed to kind of rush another album, and I don't think we wanted to kind of force creativity. I think we kind of wanted to wait a little bit on this one and kind of feel like, okay, now we've got something to say. We've got some inspiration. We've written some big riffs and some musical ideas. Now let's start to put it together. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm putting together some stuff on my own. Paul Mark has told me he is too. So, as me and him tend to be the two guys that are kind of doing most of the creative things. So yeah, we'll probably put our heads together and say, hey, what do you got? And shoot some stuff back and forth. And then once that's starting the ball rolling, we'll get the whole band together and we'll start to say, okay, well, how do we like this? Do we like this direction? Where do we want to go from here? What other types of sounds and ideas do we want to explore? And then at that point, we'll find a studio, we'll get in there, we'll make a record, we'll play some golf, some basketball, drink some red wine, have a good time, and album number 11. So that's the plan for the early part of next year, to really focus on creativity, writing, and eventually recording.
Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, man.
And wanted to touch on a couple last things here. Lead Singer Syndrome
Yeah.
podcast. Great podcast, and
Thank you.
great to see you're kind of doing the same thing as I am, but on the opposite side. How long has it been now for you?
8 years.
Wow.
Believe it or not, it's crazy. 8 years. I'm closing in on 400 episodes.
Damn.
Which is pretty wild. Yeah. And it's been great, man. I think when I think back, what I've taken the most away from is just how many new friends I've met, because of course I talk to people I already know and I have all my friends on the show, but then, I'll also just have people I don't know and we'll really hit it off. We'll have a great conversation, and then I'll see them at a festival or we'll go on tour together or something. And then, just become great friends. And that's meant a lot to me. I think also just kind of providing the public with, no BS, really good interviews, and people hearing stuff for the first time, that stuff that's like never really been talked about in interviews or in media before. So for me, being able to be a part of that is pretty special. And yeah, I have fun each and every week. And I feel, like almost all my episodes are like really good. So it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, man, but dude, let's just say you right now have the much harder job.
Oh, of course.
Much harder job. Interviewing people is not easy, man. I spent a lot of time preparing, making notes, figuring it out. And then of course, like once you're in there, you gotta you never know what you're gonna get, who you're gonna get, what kind of vibe
you're gonna be in
that day. You
Yeah.
never know, man. And it's kind of, you gotta set the tone. So that's a difficult thing for interviewers to do. And you do a great job, Mike. So
thank you. Thank you.
so yes, I just want to be as good as people like you, and hopefully I'm close.
Well, I love the variety you have on it. I would think it would just be kind of in your world, but you really take it outside. You go into Dragon Force and all kinds of different bands, which is really cool too, to kind of show that side of your personality as well.
Totally. I mean, I think the whole premise of the show is not lead singer of punk band syndrome or lead singer of hardcore band syndrome. It's just lead singer syndrome. So whatever you do, if you are a singer in anything, whether it's Dragon Force style, technical metal, or whether it's like a country artist or a
Right.
hip hop artist or whatever. I'm all about it, because everybody has a unique story. And what I love to see is just no matter what, so many people have the same stories.
Mm-hmm.
Fell into this, being a lead singer, being a front person thing. And I'll spoiler alert, most lead singers never wanted to be the singer and still don't feel like they are a singer. It's like,
I
oh, I'm
believe
a drummer, but I sing too. And it's like, dude, you have multi-platinum albums and I never even seen you play drums. You're not a drummer.
right.
But that's the thing. So it's been really, really cool to just see, how much similarities there are, but then of course, like talk about all the really interesting differences as well.
And I'm sure it's made you a better interviewee at the same time too.
I think so. I think I know sometimes when people are like what they're kind of pushing me to give them. And
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem giving people what they want generally. You know what I mean? My manager always is like, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that. Why you say you're saying things? You're giving too much away." I'm like, "I don't care, man. Like I want to if something comes out like from this and it's like, "Oh, headline Silverstein recording new album in 2024." It's like, "Well, I mean, I didn't lie. You want me to lie?" you know. So it's yeah, man. I think it's definitely made me a better it made me a better interview. I've always tried to be good, but I'm sure I've gotten better. But yeah, man, it's I think it's fun. I think that's the first thing is like interviews like this. Both people should want to be there,
Absolutely.
you and me. There
Yep.
should be something to say and something to get out of it, and not just the same generic crap. So like, let's talk, let's have fun. That's what it's all about.
Last couple of things I wanted to hit you with. A hockey fan, right? Big
Of course,
NHL
man. I'm
fan.
from Canada. What do you expect?
Yeah, of course. So any predictions for the year? We're kind of early into the season. Any thoughts?
Oh boy. Well, I'm a Maple Leafs fan. So for any hockey fans out there know what a miserable experience my entire life has been. From
That's why
that
you moved
point,
to Vegas, right?
yeah, well, that's right. That's so funny, man. I move here, and a few months
Win the
later,
cup.
the team, my new home team wins the cup. Insane, and I was like there for it, man. I went down to the strip and I was partying and everything, and I've been a pretty big fan of Vegas since they came out. My sister lives in Vegas too, so this has
Ah,
always been my second home. And I think you're allowed to have a team in each conference at least, right? So, I'm not you can't be a Leafs fan and a Habs fan. You can't do it.
right,
You
right.
can't be a Sharks fan and a Knights fan. You can't. There's certain things you can't do, but I think this one works. But no, man, I think the Leafs are gonna blow it again. I hope I'm wrong. It's just they got past the first round last year. Wow, big deal. So they're gonna break my heart again. And I think Vegas has a pretty good chance of repeating. And who else do I like? Um, I think Colorado's gonna be there again. I have a
Yeah.
feeling. I have a feeling. I have a feeling they're
Selfishly, let me get your thoughts on my team, the Ducks. Zegras.
Yeah, they're coming around a little bit, right? They're not,
Off
they
to a
had a
quicker start than we thought.
yeah, they had a few rough years there, and it looked like it might be a long rebuild, but maybe not. Maybe they're coming around. I always like the Ducks.
I love
Can't
him.
hate the Ducks.
Love him, but I'm a little bit worried about Zegras, man. He was all the talk and all the rage, and he's got all the highlight goals, but his playing time this year is like next to nothing. And he's got like one assist on the year so far. So I'm
I
just
don't know.
wondering if he's
Yeah, I think it's weird. Sometimes these players, man, it's like there's some time. You take some time to develop, and figure some things out. And, maybe it's up to the coach to switch up the lines and stuff too, like simple stuff like that.
coach
But
hasn't
hey,
even been playing him much.
yeah, well, I don't know, man. Maybe you got to trade his ass. I don't know. I don't know.
I think Mason McTavish is going to be our stud. I think that's going to be the guy that makes the headlines and leads the team.
I think so, man. I think some of these young guys coming up. I mean, you see like Bedard, and all basically the entire New Jersey Devils team. Uh, Jack Hughes, and everybody else over there. It's just such a great team. So yeah, man, I love the young people coming up in hockey, and you're seeing like it's like, where's Patrick Kane gonna go? It's like, who cares? You know, these guys are old and finished as far as I'm concerned. You saw what Kane did for New York last year. Nothing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's great. I think it's like a really nice changing of the guard right now with some of the young players.
Totally changing of the guard. Dude, I appreciate all the time. I wanted to hit you with one last thing, and we're going to go old school on you. We're an old school radio station. We do a feature called Mandatory Metallica every night at 10 p.m., which you'll be a part of. And I've been having this debate this year regarding Metallica. Been debating the greatest Metallica album ever. Me and my buddy Brad have been locked in this debate all year long. And it's
as far as I'm concerned, but okay.
It's between these two albums. You tell me out of these two, which would be your numero uno. Okay. My buddy Brad's pick is Ride the Lightning, or my pick is the next album, Master of Puppets. Out of those two, which would be your numero uno?
It's Master of Puppets. It's not close. Sorry. There's some good songs on Ride the Lightning. I actually had a chance to see Metallica just like 2 months ago at the Power Trip Festival.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah. And it was cool. I mean, they opened up with like 3 old songs. I think they played, you know, song from Kill 'Em All, and then 2 songs from Ride the Lightning, I think, to start the set, which was great. But no, man, for me, it's Master of Puppets. I still put that album on like all the way through, uninterrupted. Like just I don't do anything but listen to this record. About once a year, I put on Master of Puppets just to make sure it's still the greatest metal album of all time. And yeah, it pretty much is. So yeah. Could you play a Metallica song for me?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. I was going to get to like your pick, but just wanted to gush about the album because I think it's flawless. Like you said, start to finish. You don't no skip songs, lots of variety. I mean, everything from Orion and Welcome Home to like Damage Inc. and Disposable Heroes. That's why I feel like it's more the complete album. Like you said, Ride's got some good songs. Kind of sounds like it was recorded in the bathroom, and I feel like there's a couple fillers on there, but Master of Puppets, certainly the masterpiece. Do you have a favorite song then from Metallica that we could play for you?
I do. In fact, they played Orion at Power Trip, which was very unexpected. But for me, dude, 100% we're going Damage Incorporated. That's the song. Fast. This is like, you know, when I heard this as a young kid, that was like one of my first introductions really to like punk rock, you know, that really fast, you know, thrash metal drum beat that, you know, I heard in so many of my favorite punk bands later on. That was it, man. So yeah, Damage Incorporated, Blood Will Flow Blood. Let's go, man. It's epic.
Love the simple chokes too, and so good.
Oh yeah, the riff at the end. Oh my god, dude, one of the greatest riffs ever.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it. Can't wait for the shows and the new album when that comes around. Be more than happy to support that as well.
Appreciate it, man. Let me know if you ever need me. I'm here. I'm available. And yeah, if you're coming out to the shows, make sure you come find me. Say what's up.
I definitely will. Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it.
All the best, dude. Cheers.
Bye.
See you later.